Noha, Ramadan Kareem to you. The flagfall of Ramadan brings hope and fear for Muslims around the world who have been watching these horrific developments unfold in Gaza. What's your view on what happens from here? Will this be a catalyst for violence or an opportunity for peace?
Thank you, Dan. Well, I mean, as you know, Ramadan is a time of fasting and worship, and almost 2 billion Muslims around the world convene together in their communities and sort of find ways to express solidarity, especially with those experiencing hardship. And one of those ways is through giving aid and charity and a sort of this focus on humanitarian relief. So I think that, we'll continue to see this increasing focus on the need to facilitate access for Gazans to humanitarian aid. One thing, though, during Ramadan to watch is the Al-Aqsa mosque as a potential flashpoint. It has been a flashpoint in the past during Ramadan as well. It's been a flashpoint outside of Ramadan in 2021, for example, where clashes between Palestinians and Israelis there at the Al-Aqsa mosque then expanded into a conflict between Israel and Hamas in Gaza and led to the killing of hundreds of Palestinians. It remains to be seen. I mean, I think that, as you mentioned earlier, there is quite a bit of a deadlock with the negotiations. I believe Egypt tried to restart those negotiations yesterday. There's quite a bit of a deadlock concerning at least two critical points. Hamas wants a permanent cessation of hostilities and a complete withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza. Israel wants a temporary ceasefire and the release of hostages. It remains to be seen whether these talks, the restarting of the talks, will be successful.
Indeed. And can I get your reaction to President Joe Biden's interview on MSNBC at the weekend? He's saying when it comes to Israel's threatened invasion of Rafah, that would be a red line for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, but then backtracked on that statement. He says there's no red line and, quote, I'm never going to leave Israel. The United States, of course, supplying aid now to Gaza, but at the same time also supplying weapons and ammunition to Israel. So where does the United States and this president really stand on this issue?
Yes, I mean, very unhelpful comments, very contradictory. It's sort of a classic example of, your words don't match your actions. President Biden has basically articulated this. He's expressed, that there can't be any more killing of Palestinians, but at the same time, we will supply the weapons to kill those Palestinians. So it's just extremely unhelpful and doesn't at all change the perception of the U.S.'s full complicity in this war.
And indeed, President Biden also on a hot mic moment after his State of the Union address expressing frustration with Prime Minister Netanyahu. It seems like the broader shift in Western discourse on Palestine and the plight of the Palestinians has finally reached the White House now. So what is likely to happen next here? Will we see more aid going to Gaza as a result? Will we see some kind of progress on ceasefire or hostage release talks? I think the rest of the region is just looking out for any kind of momentum here, any type of catalyst for progress, given how long this war has been running on and the suffering that we still see the Palestinians ongoing.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There has been mounting pressure within the U.S. as well because of the U.S. complicity in this war. And so I think that Biden's statements, as unhelpful as they were, sort of reflect his awareness of this mounting pressure to find a way to stop this horrific mass killing. One thing to watch is also the international legal efforts to alleviate the suffering of Palestinians during this war. We know that Israel submitted its report to the International Court of Justice following the provisional measures orders that the court issued in February. these international legal efforts, whether they're at the International Court of Justice or the International Criminal Court or at other legal venues, even the sort of domestic efforts to file lawsuits against governments in Europe and in North America for their complicity in the war, these are legal efforts that I think may have had some impact in garnering more support for the plight of Palestinians, and may perhaps some policy change that we will be seeing on the ground. It remains to be seen, of course, whether Israel will continue to ignore these provisional measures, but it's perhaps something to watch.